bin lorry's gone. Now, I'm just actually going to give an example. Because the bin lorry was there, I turned my engine on because the second one's coming up, bizarrely. So in other words, the people that live up there, they're going to be disturbed by vehicle noise anyway. So, as they're disturbed by vehicle noise, because there's a window open in a bedroom, that's when I put my vehicle on. It's what? 5:30, 5:45 in the morning. That's actually called thinking of other people. We got two of them. Oh well. That's thinking of other people. That recording has been left on all night. All night. That's not thinking of other people. That's your probably, well, it isn't quite, it may be your Sam Harris meditation tape. If you da-da-da-da and da-da-da-da, you will have positive energy inside yourself, and you will radiate that and manifest that, and you will be successful. Even here. In fact, I'll tell you what, let's just very quickly. So there I am. There are two things. This is really about activism. But I can't stand that word. I mean, great tragedy. Not many times when celebrities or famous people die does it get going there. But just listening to a little bit of the news of the world, late night, Sinead O'Connor's died. 56, the same age as Thomas Bernard. I wonder what she died of, but now this is going to sound terrible, but she adopted a Muslim way of life. Couldn't believe it. That sounds bigoted. No. Muslim behaviour means that people get much less UV. Much less. And funnily enough, Kim Katachinsky, who I've met, no, she's actually stayed in my house for a few days. At 1 minute to 5 this morning on Radio 4, is giving the big reveal. Oh, listen to the latest science about how ultraviolet, being out in ultraviolet, resets your body clock so you sleep properly, and your sleep is the most important thing of all. Excuse me, Muslim dress, which Sinead O'Connor adopted, keeps out the UV. That's the worst thing about these kinds of sky fairy behaviours. Anyway, let's get back to the point. The point is this, there are 2 points. So, what have we... Oh, hello, Hedge. What have we had for the last 10 years? Yeah, every single famous person who goes onto the media, writer, whatever, singer. Oh, singer, songwriter, and activist. I don't even use the word activist. In fact, I've never been an activist. I've just been somebody who follows the Erin Brockovich kind of, you got to fight for the rights on behalf of other people, with things like big legal cases which take years. And then if you succeed in them, they take several years of so boringly having to take them out time and time again into the media. I mean, I had to return to the thing in 2008-9, only because nobody else, by that time everybody's head had turned into Teletubbies. Facebook had done that, and that's the reality, but that's the hook, you see. 2008, as Jack Straw says, he's going to reverse this principle that affects so much of civil law. I got, after a few weeks, so I alone noticed it and started to put out some emails and things about it, and by that time, even Camilla Cavendish, her head's turned to cabbage. And I can say that because it turns out that I was right. I ended up 2 months later with a headline, or I can't remember what page it was on, but it was pretty insulting to the Minister of Justice, Jack Straw hoodwinks. That's like lying. Written by the legal editor of the Times. So in other words, I'm not a swivel-eyed loon with a tinfoil hat. But the point, that's not activism. That's just doing a citizen's work to ensure that the authorities, whoever they may be, are held to account. Because that's what politics is. That's what Britain's been for 500 years. But here's the point. So yeah, Sinead, at least they didn't call her an activist. Two things. So going through Bolivia. Yep. Now I had to get a 6 o'clock in the morning little putt-putt bus to the airport. Might have even been a bit earlier. So two things I saw. So this youth hostel. Now Bolivia is the poorest country in South America. Jesus Christ, you get it. So you have actually got a high-rise youth hostel in the middle of Bolivia, which is cheap, and I stayed there. Shared rooms, because I was on a real budget. I only like people who said to me on the telephone that they're humble. But that's the point coming up. Yeah. Just there for 24 hours, or rather less than that. So in the evening, meandering around a little bit inside this big youth hostel, you see in the whole of the downstairs is taken up by £50 a day guided tours to that bit of the jungle, £100 a day for 2 days to that with 4-wheel drive. Yeah, £100 a day gets you the 4-wheel drive version. Out all day up to there, you can go to that special place. The marketing, the hard sell to a 21-year-old or 25-year-old travelling around by backpack has, of course, it's totally changed everything. They've got to reserve the right to have a pile of dosh. That's the thing that really, even in a youth hostel, in the largest, not the largest, just actually a humble youth hostel. I don't know, 50 rooms, probably less, 30 rooms, but most of them shared. I'm going to come to the point in a minute. Yeah, they've got such a hard sell. Just marketing, PR, spiviness. Of course that unquiets their mind deep down. That you wouldn't have seen that in a youth hostel 20 years ago. But here's the really important thing. So, here I am in a major sort of young, hip people's travel centre. 15,000 people. I think it's about 15,000 people that live here. All over town, you've got Wi-Fi. It says free Wi-Fi in the town. Well, last night I was trying to use it. No, I spent hours. It doesn't work, and I'm an expert at getting on. It does not work, and it's been turned off. It's not even showing as a potential Wi-Fi in the morning. The library Wi-Fi is so come and go. It works if you're lucky for half an hour, and then because it's shared with the council. So if somebody in the council offices is uploading a big chunk of data, it really slows down. And the point is, okay, so it's just Wi-Fi. But now, well, I don't. I have physical maps. There you go. There's my physical map of the area. Yeah, but for 10 years, virtually everybody, particularly younger people, well, they don't even have physical maps. They've got to use their connection. If Wi-Fi is reduced, the signal quality, then nothing works. I went onto my Gmail and it says I've got no sent items. Now, my diary for a year is in my sent items that I haven't had a chance to back up yet. That's because when the Wi-Fi signal is marginal, nothing works properly. It's a nightmare. Now I have to get onto the internet to check my monthly payments coming. Can't do it. Can't do it on the town Wi-Fi, and that was part of my plan. Because having done that, then I move from a safe bank that's never online, except for it's never used with any other company in any way. You cannot trust any technological company ever. And to think that I sat in the main hipster cafe there yesterday, having to listen to some fat spivvy he wasn't fat, steroid pumped up salesman at the top of his voice telling Mr. Hip surf shop owner, now if you buy into this product, Microsoft 365, it's absolutely guaranteed. These servers are totally guaranteed forever. He actually kept using the word forever. I'm sorry, nothing technological or economic is ever forever. Ever. No, the spivviness, but let's back out of that, because that's all we've had. Thatcherite spivviness for 40 years. But where your real problem is, why there's probably no point even writing or creating at all. So passing through La Paz, yep, a shared room, probably a fiver, 5 or 6 beds. A couple of the beds, there are people in them, and I check in, I don't know, start to wind down and go up to my room at 8 or 9. Fine. Earplugs, always in. Try and get a good night's sleep, because the following day I'm setting off at 6 o'clock in the morning and will be 24 hours full time travelling. And going through Miami Airport, I so noticed it there. Wi-Fi, now there's where you're travelling. You go onto the Wi-Fi to check something. Straight away, Wi-Fi not secure. I mean, what does that mean? There's a little bit of Wi-Fi up there in the next road up. Roses something or other. That comes up. Wi-Fi not secure. Go to the library. Wi-Fi not secure. So, this is all a sham. But let's go back to that room in Bolivia. And it was a weekday night. So yeah, nod off to sleep. And about 2 o'clock in the morning, a racket starts. And yeah, it would be either gender, but a couple of women come into the room. 22 years old, 23 or 4. They're talking at the top of their voices in a shared dormitory room, in a travelling hostel, a transit hostel. They could see that other people were in bed, and they were English. And these are exactly everywhere now. I mean, what are they? You can't even call them spoiled. It's not about being spoiled. They are simply raised with no concept at all that there's another human being who may require them, need them, maybe travelling, maybe... No, that hostel, most people would be getting up early in the morning to travel on. And they're all done up in their cool, hipster, fashionable clothing. They all went to universities, and most of them probably studied humanities as well. There you go. Nope. They are basically no longer, whatever human is, they're no longer human. Back to your activism. And it's really a problem. Case in point, someone's left that on all night. Now, if you actually said to these people who go there, this is some kind of evening gathering place, you don't care about other people because you left on all night motivational, meditative, hey, your divine positive energy is going to radiate everywhere. If you said that to them, they'd look at you with a, how fucking dare you? How do we get you? You can't say that about us. That I see that everywhere here. Back out of them. So I don't know what you want to call them. The spoilt, inhuman Teletubbies. That's why I say the world seems to have gone very Teletubby. But then there's a serious aspect to being this activist, or rather just taking part, truth to power, holding polluters, bad practice, rich, greedy people who may behave badly behind their smiles, holding them to account. The word activism. At the end of the day, there's the simplest reason deep down. As we know, 10 years ago, all the spivarati and everything became, the future is how much data. Your access, the rate you're charged for data. Now, if I've got a phone contract, I don't have a phone contract anymore. Free Mobile has just been the most, it literally has been dealing with continually only mentally ill people who cannot deal in the English language. So if you don't have a phone contract, you're back to, I don't know, you can just about squeeze 10 gigabytes a month for 10 quid. And that's pretty expensive. So, civic amenity Wi-Fi, this whole region, disastrous, utterly disastrous. And this is somewhere where your London people are encouraged to, hey, you could telecommute, or whatever they call it. You can do your digital life. You could be a digital nomad and spend time somewhere like this as well. The Wi-Fi, forget it. Utterly forget it. So, digital. Quite expensive, pay as you go. Well, no, very expensive. I've had to really limit it. I had an unlimited data contract here, £40 a month, by the time they add on, £50 a month. Now, I'm trying to not pay that. I may, if one were to, the world has become communicate via video. This is the ultimate paradox. Point being, I haven't got to the paradox yet. We didn't have this 30 years ago. Young people, younger people, even middle-aged people now, know they can't stick their finger up to society, even keeping it clean. Because deep down, they've got to keep their credit rating. Because getting their unlimited or 500 or 50 gigabyte a month cheaper contract data is absolutely critical. Well, to them, I suppose in many ways it gradually is. You can't get your universal credit, you can't get this, you can't get that, you can't get your cheaper flights, you can't get this and that. Your Uber, your Airbnb without data. So, the activist, well, they're not really, because truth to power, if you really have something to say to them that's going to piss them off, they'll find a way of having you arrested or some kind of slight against your official character, even your credit rating. And then that affects your access to phone contracts and data. It is the ultimate, having people by the balls, and your latter-day societal activist, legal campaigner even, right down the back of their mind. I can't push it too far, because if I get a arrest, a charge, even a civic case against me, a county court judgment or whatever, it's going to affect my credit rating. Maybe. So I'm not going to be able to as easily get a phone contract. And this really is the ultimate. You can't talk about community or being green or anything like that unless you're also prepared to slightly face up to, well, there has to be ways that the person who has taken a stand, if they're caused issues, they have to be able to back out of this credit rating system and also access things like data at reasonable or cheap prices. That is part of modern day activist politicking, but nobody can think like that. And nobody can actually think that it is this internal cage that is keeping people from really taking a stand. Because deep down, I might not be able to use my smartphone as much if for some reason I have some black mark registered against me. And that's been, that's how the system didn't really even realise it was doing this, or if you want to call it the beast. But, and so you can't call it clever, but it's just, this is an obvious thing that had to be spoken of a decade ago. And thus, virtually anybody who calls themselves an activist or anything like that, I'm sorry, in a way they're not. They're internally limited by this unintended reality. So don't call yourself an activist or a true societal battle axe unless you've even thought about things like this. I'm sounding like a pious twat, but years ago I realised that. But nobody writes essays about this kind of thing, but these things do. I mean, it defines even me. I just want to function. I want to get some stuff out that for years and years, it's like time. My mind is so clear as a bell, relaxed. Everything is just tickety-boo, except for one thing. Time to just get these things out in case I do a Sinead O'Connor, or, well, no, I just want to pass on things that maybe even my daughter might be, or her generation might be able to use. But these are the things that matter. They're the real things. The way the system, the beast, really has you by your pubic hair. And everybody's too highfalutin, too Sam Harris meditation tapes to actually think of these simple, fundamental things. And it's not like, no, I repeat, it's like, I am so practical it's ridiculous. I can think of 7 different ways of doing things if necessary. But I can't get any data here. I can't get my phone to work here at all. I can't get a connection to mobile hotspot and check my bank. I have to go to a cafe or whatever. And this is, I've actually got money on my bank account. I want to put money on my, oh yeah, that's one other little thing. Now, this is one of the terror. I put in my doodah, my material, 2 or 3 months ago, complexify to simplify. And the toughest thing in the world is having 2 phones. Of course, you can have dual SIM, but I have 1 phone for all my bank, any work, anything that could at all be problematical, or any relationship that's not a personal one. Because if something goes wrong, meaning not a dramatic, like a pandemic comes along and work stops and you end up with banks texting you and phoning you and whatever, have it on a separate phone, which doesn't matter. I only care about who comes in on this one. Only one person's got that number. I only care about that. That's a really great policy. Of course, you could have your personal phone, just a simple one perhaps, that doesn't need to use WhatsApp or anything, and keep that one for WhatsApp. But you need to keep it as simple as possible because people don't listen to you anymore. If you'd have said to somebody 20 years ago, that, because plenty of people used to have 2 phones at home, landlines I'm talking about. It's like, that's my phone that I keep for my work, and here's my personal one. People would write in their address book, his work number, his personal number. Okay, personal numbers, obviously, that's the one to call in the evening. Work phone number doesn't get answered during the day. So you can keep a decent balance in your life. No, nobody can listen to that. Nobody can think. Nobody could write down in an address book 2 numbers, P or H, W. No. So you have the ultimate, this so-called digital connected, modern, high-tech. All of those are irrelevant words. People are just, because these things do come back. It's so interesting. Okay, these issues of like, oh, people actually do need their sleep. People do need to separate out work and personal. People may have an onslaught of collection agencies and whatever, and this, that, and the other coming in to a phone. So, because some crisis may happen. So think first, keep them separated. On with my day. Now I've got to get an internet connection somehow to go to my bank to put my money from my super safe account onto my card, which I use, and buy some data. And I repeat, you can't rely on any so-called public service anywhere, ever.